But who's really footing the bill? Tickets to attend a home game for the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks average more than $300 a game. Here to give us a breakdown by the numbers is DailyNation.com sports editor Mike Peko. Mike, welcome back to Arise Exchange. $300 to go see Seattle. They did win the Super Bowl, so they're going to get the prices?
I think so. Seattle is one of those home stadiums where the TV market doesn't have to worry about a blackout. They're going to be there in force. They're one of the few home field advantages now in the NFL. So many stadiums now have become homogenized and skyboxed out and pricing out those fans who could barely afford the $100 ticket, never mind the $300 ticket.
You know, we saw that here in New York, though, when the Jets and Giants had something called the personal seat licenses.
Absolutely.
And you had to basically buy the PSL and then buy the tickets, and it was not hugely successful.
Not hugely successful, certainly not hugely popular in terms of fans.
You had to pay like $80,000.
You have to pay $40,000 to $80,000, even seats way up top. You're looking at $20,000 just to sit way up top for a Jet team or a Giant team.
Yeah. The Giants I could see. The Jets,
but generations of fans being priced out
is never good.
Of tickets, and football is one of those sports that, yes, billions of dollars coming in through TV, but what they're watching is the lifeblood of what's going on in the stadium. You want that good fan experience to watch on TV.
The NFL had a lot of off-season news. Much of it they probably regret. Now you have Wesley Walker getting suspended because of PED use. He's getting suspended longer than if he had assaulted his girlfriend, which is part of the controversy with the NFL. Can the NFL move past these? There was some calls for the commissioner to even get fired.
I think some of those calls are coming from the players. This is a very unpopular commissioner, upwards of $40 million in salary last year. But you look at it from the other standpoint, he has helped raise the revenue by billions and billions of dollars. That money is being funneled back into their salaries. But it certainly hasn't been a good year. But to your question, can they overcome it? This time last year, all anyone was talking about were concussion lawsuits and settlements. NFL was very easily able to move past that once the games were able to start, obviously, into the Super Bowl.
It does seem that way, that the fans are rather mercurial, meaning during the season they just want to watch football and they will forget about the concussions. And, I watched this documentary, great documentary on Joe Namath that's on HBO. And, boy, he got just clocked all the time, and he's clearly suffering ramifications from it. But during the games in the season, you don't hear much about this.
No, people want to watch the games. They want to play their fantasy football. They want to gamble on the games. It's more than just sports fans. It's become an institution. It goes beyond just the Super Bowl. 48% of fans that are watching the games on TV are female. So this is not just
they've attracted a lot of women.
It's not just
and by the way, for the television industry, this is still one of the few sports that remains appointment viewing television on a national level with Monday Night Football, with now Thursday Night Football. You can't TiVo football games.
You can't TiVo football games. Baseball, as great as it is, it's 162 games. There are great opportunities to watch some national games, but football is the opportunity that when you come in on Monday morning, how did your team do? How did your fantasy team do? It's the one time when everyone is watching the same thing.
Michael Sam has signed with the Dallas Cowboys to be on their practice squad. How big of a story does he continue to be?
I think the fact that he was signed to the practice squad of the Dallas Cowboys, obviously one of the marquee franchises, makes it a little bit of a bigger story. But until he actually gets out onto that field, that's when the story is going to become really national. Dallas Cowboys coach Jason Garrett was kind of tired of getting questions like, why are we talking about a practice player after all of this? So I think it's going to die down a little bit until he makes it onto the field.
The San Francisco 49ers are playing a brand new $1.3 billion high-tech stadium. Why do municipalities continue to spend money on stadiums that never return the investment?
They never return the investment. They're a shining jewel that they could point to and then gets used 8 times a year, 10 times a year. This will be more multi-purpose.
And by the way, and I love football, but that is a profit-making, a hugely successful profit-making business that is also one of the most publicly subsidized industries in this country.
Absolutely. You look at the rash of new stadiums that have been built. We talked about the Jet and Giant, mostly private financed, I should say. But you look all around, and it's almost a hostage situation in Oakland, year after year, talking about moving. It looks like they're going to have a new stadium, mostly private funded, but with $120 million in tax write-offs. So it's a dicey situation when you look at how much money is being funneled in and how much money they're taking.
I have to ask you about the Washington Redskins because this is another what I call off-season story. We hear all the controversy regarding the name, and then everybody in Washington shuts down the streets on Sunday afternoon to see the Skins play.
Absolutely.
Has there been any movement on changing the name?
The Washington professional football team, as it may be known on some broadcast, you have some big name analysts, Phil Simms, Tony Dungy, saying that they will not refer to the Washington Redskins name. Some ESPN personalities have said the same thing. So this may be a story that we're going to be seeing in season if announcers outwardly are not referring to them as the Redskins.
And it does seem that there is some momentum, usually in a story where there's some momentum going in a direction. It's often hard to beat that back.
It is, but if you're Daniel Snyder and you've been beating back the critics for decades now of bad stewardship and ownership of the Redskins, he could keep going.
The team is a lousy team to begin with.
It's a lousy team, but he's dug his heels in on this one. I don't think they're going to change the name.
Okay, Mike Bako, we'll have you back during the season, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Tomorrow on Exchange, the nation's fast food workers gear up for a second round of strikes. And what impact, if any, will it have on the economy? Let's take a look at the markets once again.